Hi,
Okay.
Aubrey.
Hi, how are
Long time no.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Long time no see.
I know. We're usually on camera every Saturday morning for the longest time, almost a whole year before
I
they.
miss. Oh my god, I miss being on Saturday mornings. And like, I love my job. I love my job dearly, but I'd like to have my Saturday mornings back.
See, how about you just send that energy my way? Because I could use a little 9 to 5 gig. Because as much as I love my vending, it's been sporadic. And I would like just a little more activity in that area. But I have been enjoying popping on when I could, how I could, where I could. I was just on
Yeah.
And I Quote for the Batman movie.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to be able to be on the Peanuts one that we do. And I've got a young man who's going to have me on for talking about adoption related things on a different
Okay.
podcast.
So,
neat. I'm trying to stay busy there, but I'd like a little more income related busy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I had just had a job interview with my city's parking authority earlier this week. So fingers crossed that something with that transpires. But yeah, no, like it would be nice to have like a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job.
I'll settle for a few days out of the week, honestly, right now. I don't know if I could do the 9 to 5. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I'll be honest on here. I was in middle management. I did retail for 7 years. You got to reach the numbers. You got to reach the numbers. That's very important. I'm one of those people. So people are more important. So when we had to do like numbers were important, I was bad at that in comparison to people were important. I'm like, morale is how we get numbers. And they were like, well, you have to pull morale out of your butt. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I've never done that before, but I'll do my best.
I touched on this with Starbucks because they were the kind of like the experience of for me I work for a cult where it's like the management loved their big leader, their CEO, and I'm just like I couldn't. I tried reading his book, and I'm just like, no, I can't even get through his book about his life.
That's amazing that you actually tried that, because I did my research before I got the job on who was CEO and blah blah blah, whatever. The stock holdings. Trying to let them know I know about your company. I want to work here. I want to work my way up the ladder. I wanted to become a buyer eventually. I'm not going to mention the name of the company because one day, who knows, I might need another job that badly. I'm not going to burn that bridge. But, because I was middle management.
The bridge with me was burnt a long time ago.
But I will say that I remember working with other corporations. I will say that I've worked for Denny's. I've worked for Shoney's. I worked for numerous other restaurants, also Ryan's, McDonald's, some gas stations. I'm not going to, I was a single mom, and I was a mom at 19 on my 19th birthday. So I had to have jobs, whatever I could. And I was barely making it in college when I was trying. So I'm like, there's a little synopsis, little about me. So I have never been ashamed to clean a toilet or put up some hot dogs or pack the freezer or take care of customers' needs or make sure the paperwork and, whatever stock. I'm on it, right? Whatever. I've also worked for the state Department of Tennessee, where I was a juvenile detention officer. I worked for a funeral home, and I can say retail is the true cult.
Yeah.
Like in all of these jobs, fast food, retail, the terrifying when the big boss, when the regional manager would come knocking.
Yeah.
Terrified. People shaking in their boots. The amount of stress these people would rain down on the rest of us. It's like, oh God,
you have to clean the store. You have to I worked for 7-Eleven for a couple of years, and my boss Paul would put me on like if the big cheese was coming in, he'd put me on it that night so that I can clean the store, because he knew exactly how I was. It's like I would like shine the Slurpee machines. That's how picky I was when it came to my cleaning. And he wanted that.
Oh.
And
attention to detail. We call it attention to detail because it's a good thing.
Yeah. But I also ended up putting my back out for that company.
That's not a good thing. That's not what happened.
No.
Why did you do that? Being a cleanly person? Just cleaning? What?
Cleaning. I think it was a combination of cleaning and like the Slurpee bibs, and those things were heavy. Those things were like 25 to 50 pounds whenever you switch them.
Are they high up? Do you have to go up? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of those. Yeah.
So that's what I did. I twisted my ankle once working at McDonald's, replacing the stuff on the top of the machine, pouring, items into the top to make
the syrup
it
stuff. Yeah.
And it was up. You had to be up. So I had to be up. And then when I got down, I twisted my ankle. And then when I went up too much, I bent too far forward. And yeah, I get it. You can do that. That's okay. And I had to understand what kind of thing you were doing but now that I understand.
When it came to cleaning the Slurpee machines, I would literally go on the floor and go under and just sweep the crap out from underneath. And then there was one day where the head honcho was coming in, and I was doing my usual wiping, and I went out years ago. I was smoking. I went out and had a smoke, and while I was having my smoke, I was cleaning the parking lot, went to go sit down, and I heard a pop in my back, and I'm just like, no, that's not good. And then I think it wasn't until I got home that the spasms, my back started to spasm. It spasmed for months.
Ooh.
I tried collecting, because I was part-time working at 7-Eleven. Workers' comp only paid me a certain amount of money for my to be on workers' comp. I couldn't afford to be off. I could not afford to be off work, so I ended up working.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, going back to our topic, I definitely think this certain corporations
working your way through a cult.
Yes, it very much feels
to
like
appease
that.
People.
Yeah, and here's the bad part. What I learned in watching my parents when they were adults in the business revolution is business became cult-like. So I'm glad that you were talking about that and that got brought up, because the boys club, well, women were in the workforce is no longer the boys club was the excuse you could throw at it, but then the excuse was, well, we have to buy into the boys club because we're women. If we don't get the same respect. And I saw a monochrome of that, but what I saw was repeating. What I saw was, this is the way it worked. So I trained you this way. So you're going to do it this way. It wasn't just men doing this. It was women doing this as well.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I get it. You're trained a certain way. Your boss wants you to do it. But here's the thing. Things don't get better if somebody doesn't say, hey, this kind of sucks. Then it is a cult. Yeah. Then it is a cult, because you're literally buying into the idea that this way is the only way. It's we can't branch off from that. There's no freedom of thought. And what is a cult? Except restricting the value of freedom of thought. In progress, thinking about it in terms of progress, not just any freedom of thought. Oh, I have the thought I want to do something bad. No. The thought of something expanding and things getting better and moving forward. If that's restricted, that's a cult, and cult of personality. We are living in an era where that is bigger than ever. They made jokes about that when I was growing up, in the 80s and 90s, cult of personality. They made jokes about it. It was before we were around. Marilyn was part of the cult of personality, like Elvis Oh, I might get some poop thrown at me from the internet, but Elvis and Marilyn were cult of personality. You know, if we want to talk about it, like the cult of being trapped in their identity of who they should be, not who they are as a person, not who they could grow to be as an artist, but who their fans wanted them to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we're going to think about that, let's talk about the cult of fandom now.
Yeah.
You know, the fandom has become a cult. It's terrifying a little bit sometimes to be a fan, because sometimes you bring it up and people are like, oh, what are you a fan of? And I'm like, wait, when did becoming a fan of something, when did that become so scary, guys? And I realized it's because of the cult of it.
We those who have a huge following, like J.K. Rowling. With the whole Harry Potter
talk about
thing.
Some mad fans. I am a Harry Potter fan. I'm not a J.K. Rowling fan, but I do love and shout out. But I am a Harry Potter became this huge
thing. I didn't get into Harry Potter. Like, I love the movies, but I just couldn't really get into. I never read the books, so I apologize.
I read every book except the last, and nobody can make me read the last one. I don't care. Okay. I was hardcore. I was a young mom when JK was a young mom. And I tried to write, and I got shot down twice, and I stayed down. And she was inspiring. So I kept writing, and I do have things, and I've been working on things over the years, but you know, I did not have the bravery she did to knock on the door and get destroyed and go back again. And people can say all they want to, she ripped things off. But who hasn't? There are so many people who are inspired by Shakespeare. Do we want to talk about who ripped off who?
I mean, Star Wars has their own their own cult. Like, me and my husband are like, any chance we get, we're watching something that was Star Wars.
Yeah. So fandoms of different kinds have become cult-like. And it just depends on the freedom of thought idea, which is where it comes back. If you're a fan of something and there can't be a freedom of thought of that item, there's the cult right there. If you can't expand your mind past that moment of your belief, it becomes cult-like.
I think that what was it? The first fandom cult was Star Trek.
Oh my god! No, that was the first one recognized.
It started with
Elvis girls. No. I have met some women that are in their 50s, 60s. Obsessed with Elvis. Obsessed. Oh, this is a napkin he had in a restaurant once in a frame. Okay, so, you know, we don't know how far back this could go, but cult of personality became cult of fandom. Yeah. When personality became a cult, so did fandom became a cult, you know, and just people, it's become part of their lives so deep now.
Yeah, the technology has their own cults. Like, I mean, okay, iPhone.
There are people who only follow, you know, the science journals. Science geeks have become cultish in a way because, you know, they close their doors to the new ideas, and then to their own people. You know, the music industry became a cultish in terms when violence and shutting down other businesses became a thing. You know, film. I'm scared to even go there because we're on YouTube. You know, hop, skip, and a jump. Fandom and appreciation for something, obsession is the line of where that cult starts, isn't it?
I mean, video games have their own cults. Like E3, like I want to go to E3 and see all the like great video games that are coming out or the systems and stuff like that. I every so often I'll watch like the E3 stuff that comes out. Like Sony will release a new game or like their system or something, and I'm like right there on the internet waiting for the live feed.
So you're not at the cult stage, but you're definitely an intense fan.
Oh yeah. Like, okay, so I have all the Sony PlayStations. And Sony is is one of those companies that when they release a new technology like beta tape was like their number one. Everybody had it, everybody loved it, and then VHS came out and it became the war of what is better, what technology is better. Everybody still swore by using beta tapes. Broadcasters to this day, broadcasting still uses beta tapes. I mean, it may not be as popular now, but I mean, I think it was up until the early 2000s that most of the high tech, most of the broadcasters, their stations still ran on beta tape. VHS. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but some people did swear by VHS, but beta tapes Sony just had a better. It was just better, technology wise.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Sony, and they did this throughout their whole history of existence, they wouldn't share their technology with anybody else. So that's what killed beta in the market.
Yeah, they wanted to have more control than they needed to. Hold on loosely, guys.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore the people in the chat, but we got Carl Woodsman. Thank you for coming. But I'm glad that you guys are here. Donna, Carly, and I'm good with saying I'm in the cult of Willow.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah.
Don Dula says hi.
Hello.
And Dan Hollyfield, being poor is a viable reason and then we have Daniel McKellen. I can see retail being a cult in some places. Yes, I worked in retail. My experiences weren't cult-like, but more like an organized crime feeling to it.
Well, okay. Which is the better? Neither are good. So, the lesser of two evils at this point.
So I love the organized crime bit because I did work with an Italian family at their restaurants for a little bit, and for some reason it was just the pain in the ass to get them to make a proper schedule, and I'm like, guys, if you guys can organize crime, why is it so hard to organize a schedule?
Facts. Organized crime is a cult, though. So, I mean, if you really think about the hierarchy, it's a pyramid scheme all by itself. I'm just saying.
Dan. Willow, the only reason VHS became the home standard is because it was cheap enough for the porn industry to adopt. That's so true. Thanks, Dan, for that. I mean, porn has their own followers too, and okay, so early 2000s, porn being having their own there was on cable. For those of you who I'm sure watched it, there was a couple shows that was very popular in early 2000 that talked about the porn industry and like the cam girl stuff, and I wasn't into the whole the cam girl thing, but I was interested in watching what that was all about. And so I became a fan of watching those shows. it was the when reality TV started becoming popular.
Ooh.
And even that has like that exploded with their own following as well.
I mean, reality TV really picked up when we had those MTV Kids in the house.
Yeah.
And I am old enough to remember that starting and being like, wait, so it's like home movies? I'm confused. Because I had family members that were like, oh, I'm gonna spend all my money and get this camera and then follow people around.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. So like it's like that, but the cameras are like different people not living in the house. Like I was so confused as a young person what the point of this was. And it was real-ish. Back then they still had a script. They admitted years and years later they still had a script. So, you know, the real is like what is real? What is real when we're being honest in the moment. And sometimes that can go viral, like we talk about now, and people can, you know, make millions off of it. And I'm not even going to mention the meme that's flying around that people keep talking about. I don't care. I'm not, there are many meme lords everywhere. I don't really find that that's part of the whole cult of personality. It's fun. It's funny, you know, when you get those things stuck in your head, but to each their own when it comes to that. You know, what are you going to get obsessed about today? We wake up the next day. We should be accepting the fact that everybody's going to choose that day. Do I want to, excuse my language, I don't know if you can bleep this out or not, but fuck around and find out on the internet? Because one minute, you know, we're obsessed with cats, and the next minute there's something to be outraged about, and the next minute there's something to really be mad about, and something to be really stuck, you know, into about. And sometimes we just need to step away and breathe. Because the ideas become a cult. It becomes an obsession. You know, a comment these days. You know, there are people that are obsessed with commenting. You know, you get what they call trolls.
Social media has their own. It has their own cult where, you know, good on Zuckerberg for making it like. I think he's the king of the rage bait.
I mean,
where, you know, where we go on Facebook, we go on even Twitter or X, whatever it's called. You know, we go on social media just to see the latest drama, what's happening with people. And I mean, like, I'm on TikTok. I use it more so just to post stuff. But yeah, like I will admit that I have my own way of rage baiting every so often. I try very hard to stay away from it, but you know, as soon as anything politics pops up, it's like, oh, this is my focus now.
Right. And I had to take TikTok off of my phone. I'm not gonna lie. My friend and I stopped talking like 4 or 5 years ago. I got Instagram. She got TikTok in the breakup. As only a little bit of a joke there because it's true. I took it off. I have been back on, and that became a little bit of a cult kind of thing, because it's like if you didn't follow the right people, I started noticing if you commented on the wrong people and people came after you, like. I was like, this is crazy. You know, I liked the disconnect that Instagram had versus the instant gratification on TikTok. So, you know, while there are plenty of people out there that are shunning all of social media, I still have my toes in the water, but I'm not waist deep anymore. Like I was going to do Twitter. No, I'm just going to go back and try to resurface my MySpace even. Gonna have TikTok. I limited so much of what I have because you have to. You really have to, because that alone feels like you're pulled, like your compulsory need to connect with everything that's going on, and so we've all had to learn to turn it off at this point because we can allow ourselves to get trapped in this prison of thought,
Mm-hmm.
very cult like in our own nature, that we have to do this. Oh, I have
Yeah.
to see this. Oh, I have to keep up with this. No, you don't. No, you don't. You have to wake
And there
up.
seems to be like a connection of certain personalities that you can tell are what like I've mentioned before, my sister would definitely be the type of person to join a cult because she has that personality of certain of other certain personality types that believe in one. Okay, so the flat earthers. There's a certain personality
I've met
type
one in
of,
person.
but these are the people who believe in these weird conspiracies. You tell them that something else exists outside of that world, it's like no, this exists. And it's like you spend so much of your energy trying to explain to them, no, this is this is the reality. And then you start banging your head against the wall because you're like, how do these people exist?
Oh yeah, we think that there's, it's unreasonable that there's people out there that are still racist, that there's people that are still for marrying people underage.
Yeah.
That it's still strange that there are people for slavery. This is not a lie. These are real. These things are still out there. And unfortunately, we think that it's just people being mean. There's still a level of ignorance out there. You know what I have learned in my life and why, and I'm going to tie this into cults, exactly why cults are the thing, why thought processes can become cult like, is because there is a comfort, y'all. The reason why cults still get made, why people still join them, no matter what you might consider a cult. You've talked about other, I'm sure before I got on here, of other cult-like situations. We talked about retail, thought process, social media, the cult of personality, the cult of being a fan.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about those already, but there's a reason why we do it. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's so comfortable. And we find that level of comfort, and we find that, and it turns into this heavy weighted blanket, and we just feel like we belong there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say that I'm not part of that. I said we for a reason. I was a heavy into the religion that I was in, which I won't mention in this episode, for 35 years. 30 years, and then for 5 years getting out of it, like
Mm-hmm.
like I was in tar still, so like rehab. I had
Yeah.
to rehabilitate my ability to exist without that crutch, and people still connected to it so heavy they made me feel guilty for it. So it doesn't even matter what we're talking about, whether it's drugs, because that's a cult of personality right
Yeah.
there. Like once you get there, your friends are all connected to the drugs. I lost a dear friend to drugs, and watched that person reject their family and their friends and turn to all new sets of friends just to feel that comfort, so that was their home. you
Mm-hmm.
know and so what do you decide to get out of that is not, you don't get, that's what I said it wrong. You don't get to decide what you get out of it. Everybody knows you're getting
Yeah.
comfort. You find a little family, a little niche. You bury yourself in that weighted heavy blanket, and it feels so comfy, and it's toxic in that moment. And anything, the let's even the cult of the idea that human beings need sex for connection.
Yeah.
Like something as simple as that can become a thought that pervades of generations and generations, to the point where no one can get past this thing. And that's one of the things that I believe, that what is it, curse breakers, pattern breakers in our families. We get to a
Yep.
certain age, and some of us realize, oh, this isn't working out, y'all.
Yeah.
This is bad. Maybe we should try to do something different. Anybody for that? No, I'm alone in this camp. Okay. So as somebody going through that, which I'm sure a lot of you are, it's difficult. It's really difficult. No matter if the whole family thought it, or just 4 of them thought it, or 2 of them thought it, and that's all you had. It's difficult to break the thought pattern of a cult, even if the cult is whatever you were taught, and it never seemed to be a cult. No one said it was a cult. But once you remove yourself from that, and the tar is off of your feet, and you are truly separated, you see that and you feel like a different person. You feel like, how is that me? You don't. I met a woman who was in a religion that I won't mention her name, but she shares her story. And one day maybe she'll go and talk on a podcast about it. But to hear her was that was how she felt about it, as though she could look back on her old self and see this person and shake her head and go, why? Why did I settle for that? Why was I thinking that? Why did I allow that to be felt by me and to show others this is how I felt? So that comfort, that I don't, in the audience, have you ever felt that, if you guys are still there, as we went on a tangent a little bit, but have you ever felt that comfort where you realized once you stopped feeling comfort from that thing, that it was like, ooh, was that really, that wasn't good? Was that kind of cult like just a little bit there? Like you didn't have the freedom to be yourself, to change, to go forward, to think outside their realm of comfort.
Yeah. See, and that's it for me. Like I was raised in the Christian faith, and being in foster care, I was in a foster home that was very Catholic based, but I didn't go through like any of the Catholic training, because I wasn't in that foster home long enough. But and then in another one of my foster homes, I went through like the Christian, like some kind of Christian denomination faith, where there was at one point where the pastor actually spent time telling us how evil Pokemon was. That was his whole sermon. Yep. And I'm just like, you're serious. We're just going to sit here talking about how evil a cartoon is because it's about magic. And I just like I turned to my foster mom and I'm like, you're serious. You're going to ban Pokemon in our household because it's evil. Huh? Okay. Yep. And this was the lifestyle living in this small town that I lived in. And I'm just like, I can't. This was where this was around the time where I was literally struggling with who I was as a person. And here I am listening to a pastor preach of what we're supposed to be doing as Christians, but we're not supposed to be watching stuff that is about magic and evolving creatures. And I'm just like, but your Bible, the thing that you teach us has magic, has miracles.
Has men watching the stars to see if things were going to happen. Ooh, scary.
Yeah, so I struggled with my faith because of that.
Rightly
and
so.
It's like,
rightly
who
so.
Who am I supposed to talk to if if I have questions about the Bible and I'm not supposed to question the Bible?
Exactly. There's no way to get comfort in that moment when they trap you in their box of thought. Yeah, they want you to stay there. They don't want you to question it.
Yeah. So I do argue about the Christian faith because it's just, they get in their mindset that one way is the correct way to live, but then they bash everything else that could very well be teaching exactly what they're saying, just in a different way.
Yeah, and they're not the only religion that does that, unfortunately. But there are some that speak out in different forms from different religions, saying, "Hey, let's all try to listen to each other, evolve, get better, learn." There are some. It's just the voices. They need help.
Yeah,
They need help to be heard above the din of the rest.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I'm not saying that all churches are like that. Like,
No, not by
was,
any means.
There was one church that I absolutely loved being part of, and it was like they had a great music program.
Oh, yes. I have noticed that.
And that's where a cult would get me, is like, rock and roll music.
Don't get a catchy tune. No, don't. Willow, don't let that out. Somebody's gonna get Willow. We're gonna have a Pied Piper, and we'll be like, where
I
will go? No.
I went through a Christian rock phase.
Oh my God, I did too. Oh, so a tractor trailer ran over my collection of over 25 Christian rock CDs, and I cried because I had spent so much money collecting those. So I feel that. I really do.
But yeah, like music was my life growing up in foster care, because it was the thing that helped me keep my sanity.
Wait. So I just realized something. I'm connecting to the other podcast. When you were on still, Johnny admitted that he could get abducted if he got in a spaceship, and you just admitted that you would get abducted if they took music. So we've got a problem here. There's a pattern starting. We need to talk to the other members of the Back of the Cereal Box podcast network and see.
We all have our thing.
All of us. Mine would be fashion and clothes. I would be sunk. Someone's like, you want a whole new wardrobe with all the costumes that you could possibly. Yes. Where do we go? How do I get there?
The thing is, gone. Like,
I'm gone.
A cult would be easy for us to join, because we're all, many of us, especially us nerds, are looking for a place for us to belong. We're looking for acceptance.
Though. I really think that's everybody. I think that's why they all wear the same colors for their team, and we've got a multitude of people that follow the same meme. Like those things. It's that comfort, like I was talking about. It's that warm fuzzy place. What is your warm fuzzy place? Mine is fashion. And clothes, costumes, things like that.
My husband has several things that he pays money into. We just, what did we do this weekend? We went and saw a steam train roll into my city. Yeah, and then he ended up spending money at a train shop on more model trains.
Oh, he did just so many trains. You look cute, by the way.
It's fun though. And the steam train, I went more so because it's a historic thing. Mm-hmm. It's coming back to Canada. It was a train that was built here.
I like painting the miniatures.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I started with the D&D miniatures, the pewter miniatures that are like this big. Like I'm like this, like with a toothpick trying to make texture on a cape so it looked like fur. I was so excited when I was done, and I took it back and I'm like, look what I did. And they're like, yup. And I was like, no, look what I did.
That's another thing. Like Warhammer has, and D&D has their own
cult-like
D&D is a
following.
huge thing, which we'll have to definitely revisit this discussion maybe later, maybe the next episode. But D&D has their own cult.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
definitely.
mean, look how angry.
Don't go against some of the lore in Warhammer.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
look how it spawned the whole thing in the 80s or the late 70s, early 80s. Satanic Panic.
Yep. They were so scared for everything. Yep. You weren't allowed to play it. It was a demonic game. Yeah. I heard about that from my my ex-husband's family. It was they didn't want them to play because there was dice and there were demons and summonings and gods, and I'm like, it's a game.
Yep.
It's just a game. I mean, they had a whole show about how it could not be just a game with the Demigorgon. I didn't watch the Stranger Things.
But there was I looked it up, but the Stranger Things is based on different things that happened throughout the 80s.
Yes.
Yes.
And creatures very similar, ripped right from the pages of D&D lore at times. So yes. And my father was the one who introduced me to D&D. I did not know what D&D was. And so I was the first girl in the family that was like, ooh, what's this? I didn't get to play. I had very small group, and my parents were very careful to not let me go to boys' houses without knowing the boys. I didn't have a lot of male friends when I was little. Yep. So I didn't get to play D&D until much later, but I learned as a young geek girl that the D&D community in Tennessee was very cult-like because it was mostly male and there was not a lot of females, and it was really hard to kind of break in there. It was for a shy girl especially, you had to be voracious. So the nerd community, I think you should do another episode on just the geek culture itself and the cult-like followings that they have. We got little rage monkeys all over the internet that are like, you can't do that. And I'm like, it's a thought realm. Yeah. It's not allowed, right?
I mean, I've heard people talk about Vampire the Gathering. Ooh. And how popular
Masquerade.
that was.
Oh my God, I played Vampire the Masquerade. Dressing up in costume was exhilarating, but if you could get a group, if you were allowed in that group. Yep, you had to buy into White Wolf too. I was a member of the White Wolf community. You had to be an official White Wolf member. You had to pay. You had to have a card. Yeah. So the Dragon Con. You want to talk about the cult and Dragon Con and the cliques and stuff. Yeah, there's a whole rabbit hole we could go down.
Yeah.
Just the geek community. We could leave all of the sports fans and the churches. We could just leave all of that and just go down a different rabbit hole.
I feel we need a big group discussion to go down this rabbit hole. So I will find some people for the next episode to talk about this for sure. But Aubrey, thank you very much for joining us, and we can talk all night.
we can have some fun conversations. I don't know if anybody else would listen, but they might tune in for some of the funny parts.
Daniel McCullen apparently has a cousin that runs Warhammer, and he is the manager for all of Western Canada.
Holy crap! Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's just it. Like I've seen the players. These people will spend hours playing these games, so and weekends. Like there's weekends dedicated for these games.
I'm not gonna lie, my new son-in-law, the father of my grandkids, prioritizes Warhammer tournaments over everything. Okay, most things, not everything. A lot of things. Borderline?
Yeah.
No, but just dipping the toes there.
Well, during our sci-fi convention several years ago, my husband got into playing the Star Wars miniature game. He and one of our buddies that ran one of the gaming shops spent a weekend playing a giant Star Wars a giant game of the Star Wars miniature game, and like they made it into the newspaper and everything.
Ooh.
Even that, like just watching them play was amazing.
The amount of dedication it takes.
Oh yeah. Joe's back was sore for like a whole week after that because of like the leaning over and
all the intense gaming.
And I've asked him, I'm like, I ask him periodically, I'm like, would you consider doing that again? Like, would you run another game like that? And he's all, probably not. But I mean, if we talk to our friend, he probably might. But yeah, no, and I honestly like that was amazing for me to see. But I'm sure there are, like in the States, like going to these gaming conventions, there must be
all night. From morning till night, they're gaming. The most intense game that I joined, we started the D&D game at about 10:30, 11, and then we didn't stop till 3 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
And that was just one game session. So it depends on how intense the gamers are. It really does, you know? Like I know some sports fans that they camp out the night before the game. Everything is the color of the team. They cook outside. They have a grill and they wait and then they watch the show, but they're not even in the stadium. They're outside. They're watching from their TVs as it goes inside the stadium because they can't get in. And then they enjoy afterwards too until like 2 a.m. So, you know, what is their obsession? You know, is it your happy place?
I was going to actually touch on this. Risk is one of those games that you can definitely play like all night playing. Same thing with Axis and Allies. And I don't know if you've seen the show Undergrads. There's I highly recommend this cartoon. It's called Undergrads, and in that show, it's a group of friends. They're all nerds. They're in college, but some of them are at different colleges, but they get together. I don't know if it's a Canadian show. I think it might be, but
okay, I want to watch it though.
Kamikaze is is one of the references. But it is a great show. I love this. And they get together to play a weekend of Axis and Allies. And one of the guys, Nitz, is in love with one girl at his college, and he hasn't gotten the balls enough to ask her out yet. So he keeps like pining over her and like, you know, daydreaming and one of these days, you know, and he almost ruins the plans of playing this game. And their best friend's like, no, you have to play this game. This is important to me. But yeah, that's the dedication of Risk and Axis and Allies that these games have. My husband loves Axis and Allies. He has all of them.
Okay, I'm gonna admit I never heard of it.
It's a war game. It's a World War II
Okay.
I think there's
Okay.
like
See, I've heard
different
of Risk. I've
versions.
played
Yeah.
Risk. It's very intense. So if it's like Risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna get my butt kicked, but yes, I think Risk is similar to Axis and Allies,
It's
but
probably like Axis and Allies Light.
yeah,
Probably.
but like it's World War II. You have certain tokens that represents like infantry and the airplanes, and you have to spend money. It's a whole.
It
You have
reminds me of StarCraft.
yeah, you can play as an ally or the Axis, and you have to figure out a way to take over all the countries and
Okay.
or stop the Axis from taking over.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's very in depth and intense because you've got to. It's very chess like it
It's
sounds.
very strategic. It's very very much a game of strategizing, and so yeah, that has their own following, and I if my husband goes to see his uncle and he plays these games, I guarantee he won't be home till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Or he'll sleep over.
Oh yeah, if a game went too intense and I was somewhere where I couldn't spend the night, my character had to leave the scene early and that, go in someone's back pocket or in someone's backpack, or if I was a vampire, they might even have to kill me and put me in torpor for the rest of the scene because it might take so long to finish the scene. So yeah, as a nerd, as a geek, as someone who has been a fan ever since I heard the word fan. I didn't even know honestly that it meant a fanatic of something.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the whole fandom, the whole thing. It's become an obsession, and I would say that there's more than one creator, director, producer that's been like, yeah, these fans are a cult.
Yep.
And you can see why. I mean, there's a lot of people that base their every day-to-day life on the communication and connection with this fandom.
Yeah. And I mean, conventions themselves can turn into cult-like behaviors too. Like people have their okay, so I'm going to actually be running a convention next year. I'm one of the con chairs for our
congratulations for that.
The local sci-fi called KeyCon, and we like it's a little family. Every year. It's like going to visit your family. It's a little family gathering, and
that's awesome.
I mean, it's not like a big convention, but we hold it at a hotel every year.
Mm-hmm.
And we block off a certain amount of rooms specifically to hang out, eat, drink, and party for the whole weekend. And then celebrate our love for sci-fi. And costumes.
Oh, right. Of course. That's I don't know about the smaller ones. I didn't get to go to a lot of smaller cons and get to know the people that ran them, but the few that I did go to that were smaller conventions where it's just one hotel. Mm-hmm. And that really does define a smaller convention nowadays, because most cons that have been running for 5, 10, whatever years, they get to be so big. It's more than one hotel. They can't. Yep. You gotta travel from one hotel to the other. Events are in different places, and those people are hardcore. They are. Yep. I have been going 8 years to Middle Tennessee Anime Convention, not counting the COVID years, because I yelled on them to my ticket like a maniac. They're like, "You want your money back?" I'm like, "No. I want my ticket next year when you're open." So I get it. Whether we're talking about a religion, whether we're talking about politics, sports, nerddom, whatever, it's It just depends on
Well,
how obsessed you get with something and whether
we
you
will.
let other
We will.
people.
Nerds will spend their money on a lot of like. Okay, I don't want to say stupid stuff because I mean comic books. Oh my god, my husband just bought me a whole stack of Alpha Flight from a convention that, or not a convention, from a comic store that I couldn't go because I had a meeting for my convention.
Yay! Well, yay that both happened though.
So I have comic books to read for the week.
Oh boy, yeah, it's obsession. We can become unhealthy. I mean, we know, it can become a cult if we allow it to.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how much passion, effort, and lack of free thought that you allow people when they're talking about it, when they're living it, And there's just some that are just too hardcore fans of the thing that they love, and they're unyielding.
I tried being part of a costuming group here in Winnipeg, but they wanted too much to. They took a lot of the rules, like the 501st, for their costumes, and it has to be a certain standard, it has to do that, be this and that, and just like I'm just here to have fun.
Yeah,
I don't make my costumes. I put shit together and I make a costume that way.
Right? No. I'm the same way. Like my talents were for a sewing machine. I put a needle in my finger. My talents for a glue gun is I have one that has battery operated, so no cord. Like I can't pleat and make dresses from scratch. I take things apart, I glue, I paint, I carve, I add things, But there are some amazing creators out there. If they're going to close the doors because I am an amateur and I may never get to their skill level, that's a little cult-like. That's a little too unyielding, and you're crossing that line from it's a club to I rule here. Do you have any questions? Because that is not okay.
Yep. And I knew I was no longer welcome when they pulled me. I got pulled aside from one of the members and said, like I had to. One of the local television stations wanted to do an interview with me about the costumes and about costuming, and I had a couple days to put something together for this interview, and so I did an open invite to whoever can make it that day. And said, hey, meet us at the Forks. We're going to dress up in costume. We're going to do the interview with Global. And after the interview, the interview went fine. It's on my YouTube for those of you who I'll
thank you
post up the link to it later. But the interview went fantastic. I had a great mix of costumers out. And we talked about what we were all interested in. I dressed up as the Cat in the Hat. Like this costume, I did not make it, but I bought it from I bought it from a local costume shop, and I wore it for I wear it on occasion for different events, just to make kids happy, just to make people happy. And got pulled aside from one of the members from the costume club that we were in. And she's all, well, you should have contacted me because I'm the media person of the group. And I'm like, they contacted me. They wanted I contacted the group. I contacted the leader of the group and asked, hey, Global wants to do an interview with costumers. Do you have time? And I got told, no, we don't have time to do interviews. And I'm just like, okay, fine. So I went and rounded up some other misfits. And
yeah.
And this girl was just like,
restriction of
no,
thought.
you should have contacted me, and we could have put together a group for this interview. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm done. If this is how it's going to be, I'm done.
It's a very my way or the highway kind of thought
Yeah.
process there.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I was hurt. I was hurt because this was a group that I literally helped create, but it's just everybody else that was a part of it just wanted to go a different route, and I, like Padme, you're going down a road that I cannot follow.
Exactly. It wasn't about everybody enjoying and talking about and participating in a costuming club. It was about certain people getting what they wanted. And that's not inclusion, and that's not including people.
No.
That's excluding people. You're not the only one. I have tried to contact and become, parts of organizations here in Tennessee, and certain people, especially in my experience, a few ladies have closed ranks, and they really disclude people that they don't feel like deserve or have had enough experience or know enough, because it's not about enjoying it, it's about who they think deserves to be part of it.
Yeah And I may not be the type of person that will join some cults, but there might be a cult out there that I will join because of the fact that they may actually be willing to be wanting people to join and be welcoming, and actually have that attitude of we love our members, and actually make you feel wanted and loved and accepted. But unfortunately, I don't think there actually is a cult out there like that is truly welcoming, rather than making people feel like Keisha said, like there's definitely a narcissistic personality with a lot of the leaders of these clubs and groups and cults. Where it's like the love bombing. They make you feel welcome, but then there's too many rules that you have to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's a restriction of thought. Yeah, it's a lousy way to have an organization if it's supposed to be welcoming.
Yeah.
So cults, you do better. Wait, no, wait, what? What just happened? I feel like it's a trap. Remember, it's still a trap. No matter how good it is, no matter how good the music is.
Sometimes if you great way to tell that something is a cult is if it's too good to be true. If something feels like it's too good to be true, it probably is.
It's like, oh, they say they love us all. Look, we're not allowed to eat on Wednesdays. A clue.
All right. We've been going for almost 2 hours. Thank you, Aubrey, for joining us tonight. And I love this. Is Willow going to read me bedtime stories tonight from Dark Uncle 77? And probably not, because I'm ready to go to bed myself.
I'm going to have a snack and watch some cartoons because I'm a glutton for punishment. We've got, speaking of gluttons for punishment, we've got gummy bears coming up.
Yes, I am excited for that.
You let your viewers know, we got gummy bears coming up on the network. If you guys want to join us, we're going to be talking about that cartoon. Me and Willow kicking Johnny out of here. It's going to be me and Willow talking to Dennis Posey about gummy bears. Gummy bears. I don't remember the song.
I can hear it in my head, but I'm
it escapes
right
me.
now
The
with-
notes went away completely.
But Gummy Bears, I believe, was a Canadian show as well. But it
one of my
definitely was
favorite cartoons when I was a kid. So when I heard we were doing that, I'm like, well, I haven't seen that in like 35, 40 years. I'm gonna have to figure out where the heck to find it. I remember the song in the back of my head. I can see him bouncing in.
Yeah.
I'm like so excited to watch it again. And I'm like, wait, where do I find it? So I can't wait. I can't wait to watch
I'm
that.
super excited.
Yes, that's gonna be. I've been excited about that for a while. I have no idea what I'm gonna dress as, but I told myself I was gonna dress up again because gummy bears.
And if you are so inclined to, if you like this show tonight, which is very rare that we have a show that goes 2 hours, please feel free to donate to our Patreon, patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. And if you feel like we need new equipment for whatever reason, if our sound isn't the way you want it, if our backdrop isn't the way you think it should be, feel free. Yes. And for those of you who are hearing the audio, if for whatever reason you want to see us do live shows at a city near you,
Oh,
again, patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. We will go to a convention near you.
Yes. Canada or America.
Donate and get me to the States every so often. Get me out of Canada.
We want Willow. We want Willow. Bring us Willow. Come on, fans, you can do it. Bring us Willow.
I have never been on an airplane, so make this.
I don't think... you want all the girls at the back of the cereal box together in one picture with cute little outfits on? Whatever okay. We can do at this point to get her here.
My husband is chiming in the background. For those of you who may not have heard, apparently I was on an airplane. It was a couple days ago on Canada Day. We went and did a tour at the Aviation Museum, and there was an old Air Canada plane.
It counts. It counts.
Apparently it does. And I whacked my head on a very low. I'm
dead. No, you were, honey. You were.
So yeah, apparently they were very short when Air Canada first came out with airplanes.
Oh no. Oh boy.
But yes, okay, so I've never been in the air in an airplane. So yes, yeah, you guys can change all that by donating to patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. Tune in. Okay. So our next show will be on the 21st. And let's continue this momentum with cults. We definitely have to talk actual cults for the next time, instead of our experiences with, cult-like behavior. All right, you guys have a wonderful night. Aubrey, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me mostly in my home, Miss Kindred Ivy on Instagram. Do not hold me responsible for my social media. It is my fun place. I always try to encourage, and I love anybody that adds me that wants to think positive. If you don't, there's the door.
You guys can follow me all over social media. I am the social media socialite. I am on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I posted so much this weekend about the train, the Empress. please go watch those videos. Subscribe to my channels, and all that. And yeah, I will see you around the social media stuff. Have a great night.
You too. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.